and welcome to my learning video. My name is Lacey, and my video will be reviewing peer assessment and how to go about performing peer assessment. Before we get into how to do peer assessment, we must first understand what peer assessment is. Peer assessment is a term used to describe students who are providing feedback to other students. According to the University of British Columbia, peer assessment can usually be broken down into two categories: formative and summative. For the purposes of this learning video, we will be focusing on formative assessment, as usually when we are performing peer assessments, we are not doing it to provide marks. Instead, we are doing it to provide feedback to the students so they may reflect on their work and improve upon it. Peer assessment should always start with a safe and supportive environment. If the students are feeling secure in their learning environment, then they will feel confident with sharing their work with their fellow students. To provide a safe environment, educators can have discussions around respecting each other's thoughts, ideas, and work. Once students have built trust with one another, they will be able to provide honest, open, and constructive feedback to one another that is both accepted and used for self-reflection. According to Michigan Virtual, students are more successful when there is a predetermined set of criteria from something such as a rubric or a checklist. Kelly Roll explains that you can create a rubric in just 6 steps. First, you must define a clear goal. Ask yourself how you will break down the expectations for this assignment. Are all of the tasks equally important? How do I want to assess performance? Do I want to give one final grade or a cluster of smaller grades? Am I grading based on work or participation or both, etc.? Once you have decided how detailed you'd like your rubric to be, your second step would be to choose the type of rubric you'd like to use. According to DePaul University's Graduate Educational Department, there are 4 different types of rubrics. The first one being analytic rubrics, mainly used for grading purposes. The second would be developmental rubrics, mainly used to see what skills a student has learned. The third would be holistic rubrics, usually encompasses the whole assignment and is more general. And the fourth is checklists, easy to use but usually longer than traditional rubrics. All 4 of these can be in grid form, even the checklist, but the checklist can also be converted into a standard traditional checklist. For the purposes of this video, we will explore the analytic rubric. The creator of the rubric must determine the criteria for the student's work, which is then listed in the left-hand column. Be sure to look at the learning objectives for the assignment and course as a guide to what you want your criteria to be. Next, the creator will determine the levels of performance, which will be listed across the top row, often using numbers, grades, and/or descriptive tags. Within the cells of the rubric, the creator will then produce descriptions of what the specified criteria will look like for each level of performance. Roll's final step to creating a successful rubric is revising it so that it is no longer than a page long, and it is as clear and concise as possible. A great way to ensure students are successful is to go over the rubric or checklist together to ensure it is clearly laid out. Another way to promote success among students is to provide a mock assignment and as a class go over and assess it together. This will help the students to become more confident in their assessment skills. Practice makes you better! Peer assessment and peer feedback doesn't always need to be in a rubric form. It can also be a verbal comment, a written comment, in video form, or in something like a spreadsheet or Google document if there is going to be multiple people reviewing the work. Next, students will have to learn how to receive critical feedback as well. This is important as good, honest, constructive feedback is never intended to be personal or to hurt someone's feelings. Using the sandwich model is a good way to give constructive feedback. Sandwich your constructive feedback with positive feedback. So first a positive critique, then a critical one, and then a positive again. This will help the person who is receiving the feedback to take it more openly. Before students give their initial feedback, they should first put some thought into what they're going to say or write. They should ask themselves whether or not their feedback is helpful. An example of good, helpful feedback is commenting on whether or not there's information that the person was lacking, or if there's information that was unnecessary, etc. Ensure your feedback is clear, concise, objective, related directly to the material, specific and helpful. Remember that while peer assessment can be intimidating at first, it is an important part of the learning process. Peer assessment can help you grow as a student and is a valuable supplement to learning facilitators as well. Learning to successfully give and receive peer feedback to and from peers is a skill that can be used both in the classroom as well as outside of the classroom. Thank you for watching my video on peer assessment.